All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. So, a lot of craziness around this plane crash. We actually have more stuff to show you here on this. We did a short video over on news on it, but to go deeper into it, there was a really, really crazy situation going on at the actual air traffic control, which they said it was actually horribly understaffed. Now, the more and more that you learn about the air traffic control, it is actually very crazy to even be one. You have to go to a very, very specialized kind of schooling. And we'll tell you a story here in a little bit about someone that is close to decks. It's pretty crazy to hear how if you fail a certain number of times, you just will not go and be one, right? And it's something that it is a very, very hard job. They live shorter lives than regular people. That's how stressful the job is. Imagine every minute of your day on the clock, you are essentially managing people's lives, and hundreds, if not thousands, per minute or per hour. But they said that the staffing at Washington National Airport Control Tower was not normal on the night of the collision, FAA reports. An internal preliminary report from Federal Aviation Administration reportedly showed the number of staff members working at the air control tower at Ronald Reagan National Airport in Arlington, Virginia, was not normal for the time of day and the volume of traffic. On Wednesday night, an American Airlines plane and Army helicopter collided near Reagan National Airport outside of Washington, D.C., and all 67 perished, both on the helicopter and on the plane. Typically, it says the Associated Press obtained a report which showed one air traffic controller was working two positions at the time of the crash, which by itself is absolutely nuts. Typically, the two assignments are split into two air traffic controllers, not just one. The position configuration was not normal for the time and day of the traffic and volume, the report said. Again, they said that the air traffic control at Reagan Airport has been understaffed for years with 19 fully certified controllers as of September 2023. However, staffing targets set by the FAA and the Controllers Union call for 30. Now, I don't know if it's that Controllers Union that sets all the crazy rules, but we have kind of a crazy story to tell you here in a second. So we'll be right back right after this, and we're also going to be showing you, it's quite a map showing you how this looked, right? How did they not see this thing coming? And we'll show you that here in just a second. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right, let's bring in my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So, again, this is you told me a story before the show, and I thought it was pertinent to kind of share this of how it is to get in as a flight traffic controller.
Yeah, so a friend of mine was in flight school at Embry, and that's the big, famous, expensive flight school in Florida, and Embry-Riddle. And they were on the path of becoming a commercial pilot, but at the last minute, they decided to change their degree for various probably financial reasons and other things, and switch to air traffic control and then and graduate a little bit faster. So they did that. And then as soon as they did, then they have to wait their turn to go through the process to apply for ATC. And when you apply for ATC, you go through this testing, which is based off your education, et cetera, and then they accept you or don't, but there's only so many they accept at a time. And if you miss the cut, you can only apply, I don't know if it's 2 or 3 times, but it's a limited number. So if you don't make the cut on each of those times, then you're out. And unfortunately, this friend of mine didn't make the cut, whatever that cut was, and got stuck with a, probably closer to a $200,000 educational bill and a job they can't actually use now.
Think about that. Having a school loan for a career that is essentially closed to you now. Having that bill that, how many people end up spending 30 years of their life, paying off their student loans, and then not ever being able to even follow that career because you failed a couple of, cuts. Now, was this person, did they say no to this person while saying yes to somebody that was less qualified because they were trying to really make sure that they had everybody in the picture? I don't know. But what time frame was this, by the way? Was this in the last 5 years?
I believe it was.
So you never know. The articles that were mentioned by the president today essentially said that right after 2020, they made a change, there was a very big change made back to how it was. Essentially, he talked about how before Obama made changes to make it very lax, and then he went in at 2016, made some changes that would require it to be an extremely coveted job, that you would be the smartest of the smart, that kind of thing. And then in 2020, that a lot of these things changed back. Now, I did speak to another Fugel family member that said that they were, that they were looking at that career, and they said it was just too absurd to even go into once they found out, they did the research about what they would have to do. So if you're an air traffic controller and you have direct experience in this, give us your explanation of what happened, or your theory on what happened. Leave a comment down below. If you or somebody you know is an air traffic controller, get their thoughts on this. Heck, if you are an air traffic controller right now and you can call, leave a message at 224-400-MARF. You can let us know what you think about it. But yeah, if you look at this image, this is a GIF that's kind of repeating here. This showed the plane, and the only thing I could think of is this: if this plane was at 3,000, altitude, the helicopter's at 400, about the height of the highest you can really fly a hobbyist drone. He's flying up here, and he's gone the same level. If this was at 5,000 feet or something way above, I guess I could see where they couldn't see it, but you can see an airplane at night for 20 miles. You can see something in the sky. I look at the other side of Seattle. I can see planes coming into Seattle 40 miles away. So I don't understand how they wouldn't see it coming right at them. And especially, it doesn't matter the size of the plane. Even a small plane has really bright lights. So they said that maybe because they were wearing night vision, but still, 3 people didn't catch that? That's just odd. And the timing of it with Pete Hegseth being put in and all of these people trying to push against it, all of the visible changes that they've done in the military over the last 4 years, including getting rid of people under the guise of loss of confidence. If you don't know what that means, you can watch a former video we did. We looked and we saw that almost everyone that was publicly supportive of somebody was essentially loss of confidence out of the military. And again, now they're pretty pissed off because essentially they're going to be bringing back a lot of people to the military. They're going to be reinstating payments and bringing back people that were, kind of ousted out. I wonder if that's shaking it up in the kind of heads of the military. We're big supporters of the military here. And again, but I'm sure most military even see that there might be some issues there. Depending on, it's like every 4 years they're having these back and forth kind of rulers go over what is supposed to be the image of the military. Dex, go ahead.
Well, when you look at this map that you're showing here, the collision happens somewhere between 400 and 300 feet, and that's appropriate for that plane. At this point, that plane's about to land. Right on the other side of the water is the runway, and so it's doing a gradual descent. If you ever been in a plane, you remember that last bit of the landing. It's sort of just really, really slow descent in elevation. So even if you back that plane up a little bit, it's not like it was many thousands of feet high. It was probably only, 900 feet or maybe even 1,000 feet back there by the time it got to, maybe even less than it. It could have actually still only been 400 or 500 feet as it's moving across here. So the other thing is the helicopter was apparently flying around the 300 range. And it's my understanding, or at least one of the things I read today, was that around the airport in this area, because this is a common area for training in the helicopters up and down the river, that there's rules around the airport, and it's called a hard ceiling. And the further away from the airport, the higher the ceiling is. In other words, how high are you allowed to fly? And when you get close to the airport, you're supposed to be under 100 feet, which, by the way, is pretty low. I don't know if 100 feet's actually that hard, but the hard ceiling was, what I read, some people were saying, was fairly low, much lower than the helicopter was. So had the helicopter actually been under the hard ceiling, there would have never been a collision. At least that was one theory that's being posed.
Yeah, well, whatever ended up happening, again, people are still going to have a lot of questions unanswered by the time that they wrap this up. Because, where is the blame going to be put? On the military, on the FAA, on the different sets of pilots, or is it something alternative? Is it something that totally comes out of left field? I bet if this is something that, was done as somewhat purposeful, and everybody would be like, well, there's 3 pilots. Why would they do that purposefully? They wouldn't. And that's why we brought up that, that other thing on the other show about the fact that these Blackhawks can do some pretty crazy stuff now, with or without pilots. But as far as, the people that are involved, 67 souls perishing, that is a horrendous event. And it is the worst since 2009. So, again, a lot of questions will be unanswered in this entire thing. By the way, thank you everybody that was patient yesterday. I had no voice yesterday, so I appreciate all of you being patient. I tried to get on as soon as I could. I was trying to drink tea and do everything I could to get my voice back, but I just couldn't. So thank you guys. I appreciate your patience. And then this is absolutely nuts. So, mind you, I want to point out, everybody, including this guy, is framing that maybe that Donald doesn't know everything. Maybe that he's not being told everything, because our president came out and said that these drones were FAA approved. And it's funny that the FAA, again, is involved in this thing, right? At a time when the FAA is, of course, now being put on the spot and saying, hey, FAA, you approved all of these New Jersey drones that caused a whole month of headlines and crazy shows and all sorts of questions around it. It's caused panic and fear and anxiety. It had the entire country looking up in the sky, videotaping planes. And now this UFO whistleblower, Jake Barber, has claimed that the White House's statement that the New Jersey drones were FAA approved is not true, and that Donald is not being told everything. Now, actually, first of all, he could have been told. Now, there's a history of Jake Barber, too, and this guy is a UFO guy. If you go to his Twitter and stuff, you'll see that he is actually, he's got books, and he's got reasons why he would want people to be pointed his way. But at the same time, say if Donald knows the truth and it wasn't FAA approved, and maybe this is the cover story, understand that even the Donald is going to have to be told things that he's going to have to lie to the American people. You know why? He's a president. A president has to lie almost on a daily basis. So does the White House. Because in many cases, they find that this is the right thing to do because it's for national security. under national security, they do have good reasons to lie on some things, but most of us heartily agree, 99% of this stuff probably should be transparent. But even if he did, the whole thing with the FAA approved after a month, that doesn't sit right either. The fact that they didn't come out and say that, unless there was some top secret reason that they were there and they were FAA approved, and they couldn't find out a reason to say that it was. Dex, they said it was, for research and various other reasons.
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
So Barber is a former U.S. Air Force veteran, and he says that he's actually been on these, and I assume at this point he's probably been on these. I guess he claims that he's been after these incidences, trying to collect information or collect debris from any of these that have been downed. He goes, he said, but amongst the claims, he said he's come within 150 foot of an egg-shaped alien craft while flying a military helicopter. Now, this probably wasn't during New Jersey, but he's specifically then said, as it relates to the FAA talking about this, and as you already mentioned, he said they don't think they're telling the president everything. He said the activity there was not FAA approved. I know firsthand. I was assigned there specifically to look at the debacle from an FAA violation standpoint in order to give a basis to the FBI. Somebody is not presenting the whole story to our new president. So he has done retrieval work. He has worked, I guess, probably in a contractor fashion after the Air Force, and maybe he did this in the Air Force too, in this range of field of work. But it's kind of odd because it's not something we talk about. It's not something you hear much about. But he is sort of whistleblowing this, if you want to call it that, saying that even on this incident in New Jersey, he was called in to help explain the unexplained. And it was clear that this stuff was not approved by the FAA.
And as far as like it not being approved, right? FAA approved, I guess, just like a FDA approved. Like, oh, is it FDA approved? Is it FAA approved? We hear that and we're like, oh, okay. Like FAA approved just kind of sums it up, and we go, oh, okay. I guess then it's okay. Okay, what do you mean? I don't care if it's FAA approved. What the heck were they doing? Like, who cares if it was FAA approved or not? What the hell were they doing? And if it was FAA approved, what kind of drones were these? Why are they flying over? Why were they so secretive for over a month? Why did they not say pop up when people thought this was Iranian drones launched from a Chinese freaking submarine? Like, I just call BS on this. And to say that, what's crazy, though, is then you're calling what Donald said is BS. And the reason that guy said I don't think he's being told the whole truth, because people think that the Donald 100,000% is going to have to tell the truth. He is now the president. He has now put himself under oath. He has to lie on a daily basis. And I almost think when he said this that you could tell that he knew the truth behind it, and he can't say it. They have to lie on a daily basis. They are in politics. And not saying sometimes it is for good, by the way. I mean, there are times where but that's my point. If somebody like the Donald says, well, here's the real deal, then people just go, okay. And honestly, I think that this is absolutely wild. There was nuclear spikes and all of the drills that surround New York and all New Jersey and all of these events that have been going on. It feels to me like we're being lied to straight to our face. But again, what is the truth so scary that we can't know the truth, right? I doubt it's UFOs. I think it's something else. I think it's embarrassment, or they don't want to embarrass themselves because some other country has been able to silently monitor us. But again, that's just my guess. Dex, go ahead.
Well, and technically, he didn't say it. He had his press secretary, Carolyn Levitt, say it at the first press conference ever, which was a great press conference, by the way, if you guys didn't see it, just to see how the new press secretary is. She did a great job. But it was one of the topics she had there. And, of course, she's presenting it as his words, so we all have to take it as his words, but it wasn't even him saying it. So that's interesting to in addition to this. But then the other thing, think about this, Adam. If it's true that there's something else going on, and he doesn't know, and all he's doing is just regurgitating what he's being told, and that should tell us that there's people still in the power or in our government that have a higher level of control than he does because they're preventing him from getting information.
Yeah, well, and again, I didn't know that. I thought that was because it says it's his quotes. So I thought I saw him actually saying that stuff.
He may have said it after, but it first came out. It was in the first press briefing on his second term. He declared that the drones were the research of various other reasons. Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt revealed on Wednesday. After research and study, the drones that were flying over New Jersey in large numbers were authorized to be flown by the FAA.
What it was is he came out afterwards, and then he talked about, what was the thing that he went and talked about afterwards? He came out, and then he actually talked about something else. He came out onto stage after the press conference, and then they were talking about last week's big thing.
How many of these black ops or dark ops or whatever you want to call them, things that are paid for by money that's not accounted for, that our government does that presidents don't even know about? And does this fall into those categories? Is this something that parts of our own, I don't even know if it's our government per se, or if it's private portions and funded portions of our government that are running this.
Well, think about Tulsi.
It's crazy to think about. Like, something's going on.
Think about Tulsi Gabbard going to try to take a flight and finding out she's on a no-fly list. Like, that's crazy that the system, even its own, the people that are on the inside, you have certain groups that essentially, now she's getting put in as the head of national intelligence. She just did a huge press conference talking about that, and how that even her herself, got put on a Quiet Skies, I think it was called, a secret program. It's like, who you see the public-facing government, and that's not even the government that's really running things. There's secret rules, there's secret laws, there's secret bills, there's secret ops, and there's secret money flying all over the place. But not Tulsi.
Exactly, Adam. And that's the scary part. Like, who controls that? Like, who's in charge of that? And is it anything that we can ever get transparency on, or is it one of those enigmas that we just have to always talk about, never can prove it, and deal with it as we have been?
Guantanamo Bay detention camp. So Dex, do you want to go over this? We had a long conversation about this. Nuts.
This is kind of crazy too. So the president has now said he's going to send 30,000 people to Guantanamo Bay. These are migrants that are here illegally, and part of the roundup that's going on right now, and the deportations is going on. I think it actually stemmed, if I remember correctly, Kristi Noem, the Homeland Security Secretary, had said on a TV show like Fox or one of those, it would probably be a great idea if we used that detention facility that's down there for the worst of the worst. And then like a day later or hours later, he sort of latched onto that idea and said, well, let's do it. So he's announced plans to open Guantanamo Bay to house 30,000. So if you didn't know, he's not building it. A lot of people get confused and think he's building this for it. It was actually already there. It was built to hold migrants. It had 30,000 beds in it. We repurposed it and built the high security facility after the events in September in 2001. And I think that was Bush that did that, set it up to hold the bad guys, so to speak, that were involved in that, and others from around the world that we collected, that we'd have to bring them onto U.S. soil, so we would put them in Guantanamo. That actually whittled down to 15. I think they just recently, as we talked about a couple weeks ago, moved, the former president moved a bunch of people out because it was both Obama and Biden's initiative to close Guantanamo. So they were trying their best to get as many people out of there as they could in various different tactics, but that's a different story.
It's so weird that this is in Cuba, right?
Yeah.
You've got all these Russian ships, passing through and visiting Cuba. You've got, of course, Cuba possibly having Chinese and Russian training going on there. And then you also have a U.S. base, essentially, with this whole Guantanamo Bay thing. It's famous forever since, pictures of horrid treatment of the bad guys, right? As far as like Guantanamo Bay, this was almost like a troll. I thought this was almost like a joke, right? This that's scary. Anybody that knows the reputation of Guantanamo Bay, I mean, it's been used as like a metaphor, not even a metaphor, like as a joke line, like, oh, they'll send you to Guantanamo, or you'll end up in Guantanamo Bay, and now it's going to be used for illegal immigrants. That's,
yeah.
I wonder if that's to scare people coming in too. Like, if you're coming into the country, you're like, I don't want to go there because then they might send me to there.
Exactly. Well, and just to clarify, because I didn't say it earlier, he is sending what they're calling the worst of the worst. So anybody they pick up that has a very, very high profile crime rate, and they feel like if they send them home to their home country won't lock them up, and they'll just release them back out, that they're going to put those people in. So that's who they're targeting. It's not just anybody. They're basically reserving this for the worst of the worst and those that will not be detained in their home country.
Sorry, you guys. I was trying to turn that down. I don't know if you guys hear that, but there's a helicopter. You hear that? That's crazy. Being around. By the way, if you are in a major city, there have been so many more nighttime drills near Seattle going up lately. It's been really insane to see the skies, and everybody that watches the sky, right, knows there's a lot of stuff that goes on all the time. But in the last, I would say, 3 months, I have seen more stuff going on above me than I have ever seen, ever before. And it's almost all Blackhawks, Chinooks, the straight up black helicopters, just in formation. Like, weird when you have those regular black helicopters in formation flying somewhere. I thought black. What, Dex? What is Homeland Security supposed to be? White, right? What's black? Just blacked out. No numbers, no nothing. And they don't show up on what do you call it? On flight radar.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a department that we know of. That's the whole point.
Yeah,
it's just blackout. It could be anything from spec ops to, CIA or something.
Yeah, it's wild how much stuff has been going on lately. All of the target cities, I think, is the ones that I've seen, because all of the Fugel family members that have reported seeing this, it's like Chicago, New Jersey, New York, Seattle, California, LA, San Francisco. It's like all these places that really, if something was to go down, it would be in those cities. They're preparing. Just talked to another military gentleman who is on temporary leave. He actually is in a submarine, and he could not tell me anything, pretty much anything, about where he's been, where he goes, which is understandable because they have essentially, when they're underwater, they're not supposed to tell anybody where they are. So he's definitely a good guy, didn't run his mouth. But he did say, I said, what do you think, hey, do you think we're going to go to war with China? And you know what he's being told, and he's 23. I'm not assuming he's a general or anything. Didn't ask his rank. I'm assuming he's lower on the totem pole. But he said, no, they're talking to us a lot about the Middle East. And this is a guy who just came home like last Friday. So they're being told like, oh, it's war in the Middle East. And they're not being told about China. And I wonder why nobody is talking about China when they are the number one thing that's really going on. They're connected in everything, including the Middle East, in Iran, in Russia, in North Korea, in South Korea. The president, who is now still detained, arrested one of our major allies, and we're not stepping in there and going, get this president out of the jail, and nobody's talking about it. It's crazy. I'm so blown away by how many people are how the media has been able to kind of hide that is the number one threat. That's my opinion anyways. And then before we move on, make sure to go check out Jase Medical if you can. This, again, it's really, really awesome to have antibiotics on hand. I just recently used, on top of my ones I was prescribed, ended up using moxicillin. And I ended up doing 3 treatments of it. And it sucks. Right after I run out, I get sick. But this is such a cool case to have because it has all of your most commonly prescribed antibiotics in it. But it also has stuff like emergency inhalers. You can add on all sorts of other things. So go in and look at the actual add-on list. But it's awesome that it is through a 10-minute appointment on your phone, on your couch with a board-certified doctor. And then after you're done, you've got it shipped right to your door. So it's a very, very cool system. They also have something called Jase Daily, which is a 12-month extended supply of your prescription meds. So if you're a caregiver or if you have a medication that you are utterly dependent on, then this is a good thing to have. Again, that isn't going to be for everybody as far as the 12-month supply, but some of you might want to look. In Dex's case, one of his medications was actually cheaper to get by the year than it was to get through the pharmacy. So again, go check it out on marfooglenews.com/Jase and make sure to use the code MARF. Not only will you save money, but you'll help support our channel. We don't have a multi-channel network. We're on our own, and we're up against behemoth platforms with crazy algorithms. And then OpenAI safety researcher issues chilling warning about very risky gamble with huge downside as he suddenly quits. Now, the fact that he quit also adds a lot to this, right? Is he disgruntled, or is he truly saying, hey, I'm washing the blood off my hands? Dex, go ahead.
Well, yeah, this is a guy named Steven Adler. He is now joining the world's leading artificial intelligence researchers who have voiced fears over the rapidly developing artificial general intelligence. He says an AGI race is a very risky gamble with huge downsides. This was on one of his posts that he put out there. He said, additionally, that he's pretty terrified at the pace of the AI development. He says, when I think about where I'll raise my future family or how much to save for retirement, I can't help but wonder, will humanity even make it to that point? That's pretty stark. And this guy's been working with OpenAI. He actually enjoyed his job. He says lots of parts of it that he liked, but he said, what they were doing and where we are with the state of AI is what's really scaring him. And this is somebody who's right there at the forefront, like literally in the middle of it. He goes, in my opinion, an AGI race is a very risky gamble with a huge downside. No lab has a solution on AI alignment today, and the faster we race, the less likely that anyone finds one in time. So think about that. He's suggesting or saying that because we're racing, we're moving so fast. And in reality, we are. If you think about the fact that China is trying to catch up with us, they had that big launch with DeepSeek, which a lot of people are questioning now. And we're trying to prevent them from getting ahead of us. But at the same time, we're pushing our AI developments, whether it's OpenAI or any of the other companies in Silicon Valley, to move so fast so that we can get as advanced as possible and beat China. Well, if all we're doing is racing full speed ahead, when we trip and fall, it's going to be pretty nasty. It's going to be a hard hit on the pavement. And that's the question, is like, where are we going with this? I guess he's bringing that to the forefront. He's not the only one. Many people, including even Elon, have mentioned that this is a scary point right now with the way AI is developing.
Well, and where AI is going, like as far as, I think that people really can't fathom how crazy it really is getting and how scary this is. It's putting into question how fast this is going. There's like a silent race going on between the countries. It's not very silent. but the importance of it is very quiet. The fact that they're doing these data centers, the fact that Donald came in right away, does this $500 billion thing, which a lot of people have their questions about, but there's got to be a reason. One thing I've noticed a pattern with Donald is if he gets pulled into a back room and he's shown facts and he's shown these things and goes, hey, this, and this are about to happen, we're in trouble, he immediately tries to solve it. Like when they pulled him in, did you know we kind of actually know why he did the executive order for EMP? They found equipment. They found Dex, maybe fact check and verify me here. They found equipment, electrical equipment that was going in, not transponders. My brain is not working clearly. The big
Transformers.
And they found a back door in it, in one of these things that was getting shipped in. And when they found that, they did an emergency meeting, and it's like, boom. Right after, he signs this executive order to harden our grid against EMP. Now, mind you, it started, and at that point, it was like 2019 or something like that, 2018. We watched, because we were with EMP Shield, one of our other affiliates, and it was before they had a lot of these crazy, huge contracts. They were just selling to regular consumers. They ended up getting mentioned in the DHS, Department of Homeland Security Resilience Report thing, and this EMP thing came out, and all of a sudden, EMP Shield was busy as heck. Like, they used to do Christmas videos where they walked around the factory. Now they can't do that. They're just so freaking busy. They were in one little building. Now they're expanding all over, right? And it's because they got these huge government contracts under the last term to harden our grid. And he did that in just like that, right? When you see this $500 billion thing that he put into place, it's like he does see some emergency thing there. Where all of the things that he does, it's almost like he doesn't want his name being put on somebody who didn't act on it. And that's something that is quite predictable, actually. Like, you see, Trump doesn't mess around. Like, he gets right into it. Mind you, that executive order, the second that the next president came in, he did not unsign that order, but they basically put it on pause. It was not enforced. We know that. And it was like it went at a snail's pace again. All of a sudden, he's back in. Looks like that's all picking up again. So there's a lot of things that are these emergency things. And I think that when you see him do big things like this, I go, like, why would you do that? But then I'm wondering, like, does he actually, is he seeing a positive side on the other side of this? Like, is there a reason why? I think it's because AI is about to get really scary.
Well, yeah, and Adam, on hardening the grid, though, let's also recognize the fact that we just last year found evidence that they are doing it. We knew it, like they've told us, and I'm not going to say who, they've told us, yeah, we're doing this, but we can't talk about it. And they've told us that, yeah, the companies or the utilities are investing in this hardening. They're not going fast enough, but they actually are doing it, which is good to hear. Doesn't solve the problem. Doesn't solve the problem of your home. It does solve the problem, hopefully, in the areas in which they've put it in, that it fixes transformer blows and things like that from EMPs or CMEs. But to see that progress has been good, even though they won't ever announce it. They're not going to announce it. It's a national security issue for them not to announce it. And that's why the utilities keep it quiet, and only the people doing the work know about it.
And that's one situation, like, where we knew the back end on, we knew a lot more of the back end on, and we saw what was public facing, where it's like you see kind of what's being said, and then you see how Trump reacts. With this $500 billion thing, obviously he knows that a lot of people are going to be like, what the hell are you doing? But that tells me that China and whoever else working on AI they're doing really scary stuff.
Well, yeah, and Adam, look, he did that in the face of or against, so to speak, his new, best buddy in Washington, Elon, right? That was not an Elon deal. That was a deal that Elon didn't like. So that should tell us something else, that if he's dumping 500 or pushing a $500 billion AI deal, even for somebody that is the exact competitor to Elon that's doing it, and as close as he is with Elon, that it must be a very urgent and dire issue, which is what you're saying. Like, he doesn't just do things just, like he's doing it for a real reason. So, and I goes right back to this whole idea about there's this massive race, and are we moving too fast? And are we going to get hit hard because we are moving so fast? And not only are we going to get hard, is it going to creep up on us like overnight? This could be something we get nailed with in 6 months or in a month, or who knows, it might be years, but it's going to catch us off guard in a hurry, because that's the type of evolution that's happening right now. It's that hockey stick approach. If you think of the curve that goes, you're watching the line and it's moving from left to right, then all of a sudden it shoots straight up. That's going to be the AI takeoff, is when it shoots straight up, and then there's no turning back.
Yeah, and in the ways that AI can destroy things, if China comes up with something that can break all of our systems, break all of our encryptions, get into almost any kind of information, including the worst and most valuable and most detrimental information in the world, that's where it gets super, super scary. Where it can hack into every system and any system all at once. Klaus Schwab said that there was likely to be a cyber event like we have never seen, worse than CV, that would do more damage to the world than CV did. Which CV was like it's crazy. Most of that damage was from just closing up things. But all of the world stopping, all of the businesses stopping, everything stopping. People thought, if you thought that wasn't going to do huge amounts of damage, well, we lived through it afterwards. We've been paying the cost for it, and it's still not done. We're $30+ trillion in debt, and we're in trouble because now we're on the chopping block as the biggest and strongest country, and there's people that are slowly trying to break down every part of our advantages. Dex, one thing about that AI thing too, by the way, the new one that got 1 million trillion downloads or whatever. I think
DeepSeek.
I think China with their cell phone farms, it really makes me wonder, like, if almost all of those are bots. You know what I mean? The downloads. Like, if that's true, how can they verify that?
They can verify that because they know, they know where the traffic's coming from, and they know where the accounts are registered to. In the store like that, you've got like the App Store, say the Apple App Store. The people that are downloading are registered to Apple. They know, you've bought a game.
Yeah, but you don't think China has a way to fake that? I mean, the FBI and government has the ability to fake a phone and put it anywhere in the world.
It's not faking the phone. It's the account name. There's an account that's Dex, and he's put in a credit card, and he's bought a game or he's paid for an app before. There's history. You can know the difference between, a bot account and a legitimate account. Sort of like how Elon put in credit card charges on X to eliminate the bots, because that helps validate a user. It helps. It's another layer of proof of an identity, and that credit card can actually, it ties to a zip code, so if that person is in the U.S. or in another country, and if they're in the U.S., you even know what zip code they're in.
Wait, I haven't done that yet. So wait, are you saying that it makes you put in your credit card?
Well, if you buy a blue check mark, if you pay for a blue check mark, you're using a credit card to do it. So
you're
if you've
right.
done that,
You're right. You're right. You're right. That's smart. Okay. And
credit cards are the ultimate way of they use it in all sorts of validation. It's the ultimate way of validating right now where somebody is and that they're a human.
I get you. Well,
hey, you mentioned cyber though. I'm kind of rewinding here, Adam.
I might have skipped over.
No, but hang on. Cyber and Klaus Nobody has said this, I don't think, but I'm sure somebody else has said it. I'm not the originator, but the one thing we didn't mention or didn't think about and we should be considering is the whole event in DC with that plane. It could have been cyber related, and we just don't
Oh
know it
yeah.
yet. Or we may never know it if it was. That could be the other thing. It could
Well, what
be
if this Black
a
Hawk
cyber-related
has the ability to go autonomous, and those piloting it were doing their job? They tried to move, and it was overrun by the autonomous part. Can they confirm that this wasn't one of those? Like, why isn't the reporters asking, did this have an autonomous feature like the ones that you showed in a conference 3 months ago? Because what if that was a cyber thing?
Or the altitude altimeters, or the auto landing system on the plane, or even the FAA. All of them somebody could have been hacked. I mean, it could have literally be a cyber event, and it could be one of those things that we'll never know because there's so many moving pieces. It's going to take so long to investigate, and they'll probably spend all of their time looking at the pilots first, the FAA second, mechanical issues, which probably isn't it, right? And we'll never get to the whole idea of if it was cyber. And oh, by the way, if it was cyber can easily clean itself up and hide itself, because if you don't find it right away, you can't trace it because it usually cleans itself out. Or, however they got there, if you didn't find them, they can go back in and get rid of their tracks, so to speak, right? So that's the other one we got to consider.
Now, and actually, the more that you go down that road, it would make more sense, and it would put less blame on this other stuff. And if you were trying to cover it up, you would find somebody to blame, and you'd find something that does sound reasonable. Think about this. If you could clone the signals, or if you could make it look like that plane was at 5,000, or I don't know. You could do all sorts of things with that. We've seen it in the movies and things like that, but we haven't seen it in real life. But again, is that possible? Now, I want to remind people of this. Will a catastrophic cyber event really happen? This was Klaus Schwab said that a catastrophic cyber event likely to happen in the next 2 years. This was a little over 2 years ago. He said this. And then you've got just a month ago, like not even a month ago, a few weeks ago, we covered the guy from, they were saying that Poland was saying that they believe that Putin is going to use planes to do horrible things, right? What if this is just event 1, and then there's event 2 and event 3 or something? Like, this is a crazy event. But what if you see all the planes in the U.S. take a dive or something? That would be absolutely horrendous. But could that happen with the cyber event? Could they mess up traffic control, air traffic control? Can air traffic control places be hacked? That's another question. Can they make the computer sitting in front of the air traffic controller? Can they make that guy's computer say that it's somewhere else, so that they give them wrong directions? Do you remember, Dex, a couple months ago that plane that almost hit each other? The audio on the tape was different than what the air traffic controller said was on his screen. Do you remember that? It was just like 2 months ago. They had it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And do you remember that the audio from what I just remembered this? The audio on him talking was completely different than what the air traffic controller said he was doing. So the air traffic controller was seeing something different than what was on the ground. I don't know. And then back then we questioned, could the air traffic control be hacked? So I don't know. They're going to blame it on somebody. 67 people gone. Thank you. Christy Roselle, thank you. I appreciate your support. Bill Clinton housed 45,000 illegal immigrants when he was president at Guantanamo Bay. This is nothing new. Robbie Skykiller, no, I did not know that Bill Clinton did that there, though. Rochelle Cooley, your favorite nurse, says stay healthy. Respiratory threat right now is crazy. TB, RSV, flu, A and B, pneumonia. I guess my cousin has pneumonia too. I haven't been checked for official pneumonia, but that's because I had my whole family get sick one by one. It was first my middle daughter, then my youngest daughter, then my son, then my oldest daughter, and then my wife, and then me. But it actually cycled through twice, and I didn't get sick. And I really thought I was clear from it. And the last day that my wife was sick, I got it. And it's bad. It is bad. It's, yeah, I don't wish this on anybody. And then I think T-Man and thank you, Rochelle Cooley, I appreciate that. And then I think T-Man and Xi Jinping should have a rap battle to solve issues. Putin gets winner. T-Man and Xi Jinping should have a rap battle. Well, I'm sure that rap battle channel will do it. And then Nutsack909 says the Black Hawk had a Pat 25. There was someone of priority in that flight. So again, you never know with all this stuff too. What is a Pat 25, Dex? Can you look that up real quick? So in the very beginning, there was rumors, and there was a lot of talk about this. But again, there's a lot of speculation put off right in the beginning, and right when I saw, they said that there was possibly somebody like a really big VIP. That was within like an hour of this whole crash thing. Usually those things, either they're covered up really well, or you find out that it's totally false. But I don't know what a Pat 25 is. Dex, do you know what a Pat 25 is?
No, but I think the reason people are suggesting that is it stems from people suggesting that looking at the ADBS is that the flight took off from a location near a home or near residences that were owned or part of like Saudi connected in Saudi Arabia. So I would question that because like did it land in like the street in the middle of these homes, or did the transponder just turn on at that point, and that's when you see the beginning of the line? You know what I mean? When people look at the lines of the flight, they go back to where's the first spot. And
wait. So
does that mean that's where it took off from, or does that just mean where it started transponding from?
Okay, wait a second. Pat 25, there's quotes down here like, Pat 25, do you have CRJ in sight? ATC initials to make of his American. So wait, the call sign was Pat 25, priority air transport flight. So priority air transport. Pat 25 is a call sign used by the United States Army to indicate a priority air transport. So, yeah. Yeah, its call sign was Pat 25. But they're saying that there was a trainee. Is that why there was the... yeah, see, that doesn't... Right when this happened, that's kind of what people said. Well, probably based on this.
Yeah, and it goes back to the theory, because when people are looking at the ADBS, it links back to an address where I think it's like the Royal Embassy of Saudi Arabia owns a property at that location. But what I don't know, and I haven't actually looked at it myself, so I can't validate or verify if it's where the transponder turned on, because they can turn those on and off, and they can be flying and it's not showing anything, and then turn it on and it looks like that's where they started from. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
As opposed to, did it literally land at that spot, pick up somebody? And if you look on the map, I think I saw on Twitter somebody showing the map of that location. It's like literally like these big homes. Did it land like in the cul-de-sac of the neighborhood and pick somebody up, or in the street, and or was it on a building? I don't know.
So I saw the claims, but the people I saw talking about it were the people that are always like coming up with crazy stuff. People have said I'm a fearmonger and all sorts of stuff, but I have always tried to verify stuff first before telling people stuff. Some of the people that now, especially on Twitter, it's like, they'll say some of the craziest stuff I've ever heard, and it's like, a reptilian came over for dinner on the 4th, just crazy stuff. But even stuff that's not, like, even more crazy than crazy. Not stuff that, like, is even half believable. And people freaking buy it. And I think that kind of stuff hurts us all. Because when then they have somebody to target, and they say that all of the internet, that it needs to be regulated. When somebody does that bad of information out there, what happens is everybody gets hit. It's like the mistakes of the few end up affecting us all. I mean, I've gone through 5 adpocalypses, and all of them were based on idiots doing some messed up thing, or even one idiot doing something, and then they basically put a rule across the board. It's really dumb. Twitter's opened up. But I'd rather have that than complete censorship. But the thing is now that they're saying those crazy things, what's awesome is that they haven't come down and basically deleted everybody on Twitter. They've let it go. But it adds like a whole other level of like confirming stuff. But I as far as the call sign, priority air transport, yeah, that does add a super mystery to it. Right off the bat, everybody said it was somebody elite or somebody in there.
Did we confirm that was the actual call sign of the helicopter?
Yeah, there's articles everywhere.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Literally everywhere. Let me make sure that, yeah. DailyMail.com, call sign bricks. A lot of these are pretty fresh. So I don't know if this is new information, but I remember them talking about elite, possible VIPs. ABC News, Pat 25. Probably because they won't be able to quiet.
Even NPR. I just found one on NPR of all places.
Yeah.
So yeah. Within 30 seconds, recording review by NPR, the military helicopter referred to as Pat 25 on the radio. Interesting.
That's what I'm saying. What if somebody was on that thing? That's what I said 2 days ago, and I remember. I don't know. The first thing I said was who was on it, and they said, yeah. Well, I guess we'll see. And then Iranian official says Tehran has purchased Russian fighter jets. Dex, can you get this one? I'm going to grab some water. I'm out of water.
All right. So as you know, this is kind of no shocking surprise, at least not to us, because we talk about this all the time. But the relationship between Russia and Iran continues to strengthen. So when you look at what is going on between, say, Russia and North Korea and the advancements of technologies, whether it be submarine technology or nuclear weapon technology, in exchange for the troops and other things that North Korea does for Russia. Same thing with Iran, who has helped Russia with all the drone technology in the early days of the conflict with Ukraine, and how that relationship continues to expand, and the fact that they just actually signed their agreement, which is very similar to the agreement that was signed between North Korea and Russia. So the fruits of that are now, Tehran has now purchased Russian Sukhoi Su-35 fighter jets to advance their air force. So I don't know if that is the best of all jets, but it certainly is a addition to their force, and it certainly is, going to provide another layer of strength that they have to their air force. And it is clear that they're getting technology directly from Russia.
Well, yeah, no surprise for sure. By the way, these couple of you said that you were nurses out there. Which one of that list that you just put up there, which one would have you tired and stuff like weeks afterwards? Like everybody fighting fatigue. Would that be like that would be the flu thing, or flu A and B? Either way, let me know in the comments down below. And before we move on, make sure to go check out EMP Shield. There's a few things that we stress here, and one of them is a preparedness for an EMP strike. And it is because this is one of the most important things, as far as there are likely events to happen, and then there's less likely events to happen. On the current trajectory that we are on, which I believe we are fully headed towards a World War III, whether the USA joins in or not, But I do believe the way that they would get us is they would first go after power, then they would go after communications. This is showed by our own Gov, DHS, DOD, every last agency basically warning about this. And again, people don't trust these, so they go, oh, I don't care. But one thing I'll say is for the many Fugel family members we've talked to in almost all of these fields, they have said the same exact thing. They are quietly preparing for some sort of massive event. And they are worried about our grid, which is one thing that the executive order definitely shines on. And they're worried about our cyber systems. The EMP Shield will protect your cars, trucks, motorcycles, and boats against an EMP strike or even a Carrington-level event from the sun. So either of the main events that could happen, this is going to protect and ground the signal from it before it can fry your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, generator, or home. It takes a few minutes to put in your car, and that means that you will be able to get home to your family instead of being stuck at work. Or if you are putting it on your car, to get out, to bug out. Go to marfuglenews.com/EMP and make sure to use the code MARF. Agencies like DHS, DOD, and others are now using EMP Shield. And again, that they are now in, of course, the DHS EMP Resilience Report. You can read all about them. It's all Keystone military tested. You can get the same technology for your cars and your homes. marfuglenews.com/EMP and make sure to use the code MARF. Everything is made in the USA, down to the screws. It's a very good company. The people that run it, the people that own it, are also part of now Bug Out and Grid Down, or part of the Grid Down. So again, check out both of those companies because both are EMP Shield protected. And then let's see here. We've got eruption imminent. So this was part of the show that we were trying to put together yesterday. This is very spooky because this is like right on the line of the Juan de Fuca. In fact, you can see it. You can see it there. Let me show you the map. Oh, jeez, my zoom broke. So you see this line, even in satellite images, you can see it. And right here, from here all the way up British Columbia down to the beginning of California, this is the Juan de Fuca plate meeting, right? And this is where this imminent, mile-wide hidden volcano near the U.S. coast is in the final stages of buildup. Sounds pretty terrifying, at least for me, because I'm on the West Coast, and the West Coast is looking at literally a 9.0 earthquake, an earthquake and an event like Boxing Day or like Japan, only worse. Ours is going to be 10 times worse than Japan. It will go 3 states long, and it could affect the entire country. It will definitely affect our economy. That's the thing. People that are on the East Coast might not care so much if this earthquake/tsunami happens. But it will affect you. It will affect the whole country. If you take a regional disaster like North Carolina, that put a huge dent in our pocketbook. Same with the California fires that just happened. In the billions and billions. We're talking, I believe that this next event's going to cause trillions of dollars in damage. This volcano that's on this line, it's very, very scary to have something that big, a mile wide, in final stages of buildup, right on that frickin' crack. But who knows? Maybe that volcano going off will release pressure and make it better. But again, I don't think there's enough to know. I don't think there's enough known about that to know whether that will help or hurt. I don't know about this hidden underwater volcano. But if you have a normal volcano, I know that those can trigger earthquakes, and earthquakes can trigger volcanoes. We know this. It's a fact. The scientists will now wholeheartedly agree on that. Whereas 25 years ago, they said, you're crazy if you thought that. Now they have proof. They can prove it time and time again. In the last year especially, there was a number of earthquakes, said Chadwick, and we covered one of those. Didn't realize that it was right on top of this. So it was barely mentioned in a footnote. And now they say it's getting worse.
They're even saying this year, Adam. I
Yeah.
mean, that's crazy. So they're saying that the eruption in the next year, by the end of 2025, is it's almost fully reinflated to the level it was before 2015 eruptions. So all the signs are pointing towards the final stages of the buildup for the next eruption.
Yeah, so I don't know how underwater volcanoes worked, but if there's any truth to this, if they are getting better at the science, if they do know what they're talking about, this one is very scary because it is right on that meeting of the Juan de Fuca and the North American. And then wild, and I just, every time they start like that, wild conspiracy theorists suggest Black Hawk Copper's crash with deliberate because military helicopters don't fly into planes. Now, Dex,
Well, they don't.
No, they don't. But do you want to go over? And I just hate when they throw that word everywhere now.
Well, look, we did a
stuff.
great short on, not on this particular topic, but on the topic of what happened in DC. We talked a lot about it in this show, but we also did a short over on news. So make sure you go check that out and share it, because it's short. That's the whole point of it. It makes it easy to digest for friends and family or other people. So make sure you share that one out. But yeah, they definitely have gone down the entire spectrum of all the ideas that the theorists, as they call them, have come up with, such as, it's suspicious, alleging that trained pilots would know how to navigate this type of situation. Well, that would make sense too, because they came out and did say that the pilots had like thousands of hours, and even though it was classified training, the one flying even had substantial amount of time in the plane, in the aircraft. They also said that that this is so strange that something is off. The Black Hawk would not have alarms going off, et cetera, et cetera. I think they go down the path of even the VIPs and some of the other things. They're basically trying to take everybody that has questioned this, which is normal to do. I mean, nobody has answers. This day one. You won't even have answers for 72 hours. You won't even have answers in a week. Okay, it's going to be a while. It takes time for investigations and all the information to come out, and the cover-ups or whatever, uncovering, whichever way they go with it. All of that's got to take time to happen. So it's natural for everyone to do this. And I don't think they should be shaming people for asking these questions or coming up with these ideas, because are we just supposed to, just sit quietly with our heads in the sand and act like nothing happened? No, we're humans.
That's what I'm saying.
Question everything.
Any question people have now, they call it that, right? It's their go-to thing to go to. After the last 4 years, it's always been, they have theorists, and that way anybody else, and there's a huge chunk of population that will read an article like that, and immediately it's like they're afraid of touching that topic. Like they won't even talk to their friends about that, because if now you've attached that thing to it, so then they won't they don't want to be labeled, right? They don't want friends to think they're in that group, so then they won't talk about it or question it. Do you get what I'm saying? Like I envision my mother-in-law, somebody who, I don't know. She won't watch this, but I think she's not as bad now, but she cared a lot about image. She was kind of like she was very professional. She would always make sure that things looked good and that things were proper, that everything was fixed right, that presentable. Didn't want to touch any of the controversial things. Didn't want any of the friends to know about, any of the side beliefs. I see somebody like that, and when they see an article like this, because they've used those articles, like when I was trying to help this person during CV, I said, there's this, this, and this, and you got to take this, this, and this. They said, oh, well, I read this and this and this, and I did my own research, and she found things like that. And once it had something like that on it, it was like, oh, she throws it out the window. I think that they've used that to scare off. I mean, there's multiple layers to why when they add that in there, that people don't want to touch it. But also people don't want to be labeled, Because if you get labeled now in 2025, it could mean everything, right? I think we need to change that. People need to stop being afraid of being called a theorist, and they need to start worrying about like what really did happen. I think if everybody spoke out all at once, I don't think there would be no stopping it. People should all just speak their mind on this kind of stuff. This doesn't make sense. Damn thing was headed towards it. Did the headlights fail? Did the plane's headlights go off? Like, are we going to find that out? Watch. It doesn't make sense to the point where 2 days ago, well, the headlights may have been off. Because right now it doesn't make sense.
They're still holding out on one of the 3 soldiers. So one of them, Ryan O'Hare, is from here in Georgia, who was the crew chief, basically sitting in the back seat. And then I think the training pilot has been identified. I'm trying to find their name, but I've only seen 2 names so far. They're still holding off on the 3rd.
Okay, and what was the thing that we were looking at about Pete Hegseth being in Washington? He just got into Washington, officially approved, right?
Yeah, he was there. It was like his 4th day in the Pentagon, basically, when this goes down. And you know, for all of the political side of it, like there was leading up from, you know, the November till, you know, the military has sort of been scrambling because it's like, oh, well, we got to deal with you know, Trump now. What are we going to do? And how do we protect ourselves, or how do we, as everybody calls it, Trump-proof themselves? So there's a lot of consternation going on with the and I say the military, I don't mean the lower ranks, I mean like the top ranks in the Pentagon about, you know, whose heads are going to roll, what's going to change, and then who's going to be, you know, the new defense secretary. And then, of course, it comes out it's Pete Hegseth, and then he gets confirmed, and then he's in for 4 days, and then an event like this goes down. It's like, now this is a major event, at least in the public eye, to the military, and, you know, it's day 4 of Pete's job. So certainly puts him under the fire, but it also, you know, it just adds to timing. Like, it's all about timing. Like, what's the timing of all this?
If you're one of these guys who covers this and you say, oh, it's crazy for people to ask questions, what I ask you is, why can't you ask those questions? No, I agree. You should not pass things on as fact. But unsubstantiated claims, what does that even mean? That's educated guesses. Why can't people have educated guesses? Now, they can say, why can't they say they think something? What if they said it and it's really bad? And we all know it's fake and it's bad. But why can't they make that guess? Aren't we all entitled to our own opinion? To someone who writes this kind of article, like, well, why is that a bad thing? If it's somebody saying that this and this and this has happened, okay, well then you prove that wrong with the correct information, and that's that. But why is just the theory or the thought a bad thing? That's what I don't understand. If there's information that puts that to sleep, that is substantiated, then put that out.
Hey, it's okay for scientists. Why isn't it okay for the rest of us?
Yeah. Did that come from Marfoogle?
Theories and theoryism is perfectly normal. It's acceptable. You come up with a theory and then you try and work your best at proving it or disproving it so that you can get to an answer. It's a standard method.
Wow.
Okay, by the way, the second one is Chief Warrant Officer Andrew Eves from Mississippi. So we got 2 that have been out, but for some reason they have not released the 3rd, and I don't know why. It's a lot of time has passed. You'd think that would have happened by now.
That's the first thing I said. I said, who was on it? And then look, now they're doing next of kin. They have not done the 3rd person, and it was called Pat 25, priority air transport.
So the other thing I learned on that, the Pat 25 in the last 5 minutes, and not saying that this has anything to say that it's not valid, is that I think that particular helicopter is configured for that. So anytime it flies, it's called Pat 25, even if it's not doing a being used to do priority air transport. In other words, it's not just going to sit on the deck unless there's a priority person to fly. If they want to fly the helicopter, they'll fly it. But it's configured for priority air transport, so it has the call sign Pat 25. That's what I read. That doesn't mean it didn't have a VIP on it. It could have.
So
just covering it up.
So does that sound right, guys? Let us know in the comments down below if you're military, current or retired, or again, let us know. How does that work with the Pat 25? Is that something that they would? It's permanent thing, and if there's a trainee flying it, then it's Pat 25, or do they name it something else? Again, neither one of us are pilots, right? So at least
yeah, correct. Yeah, I'm not claiming any of that is accurate. I'm just telling you it's what I've learned.
I think it does. I mean, it makes a difference, though.
It does,
because the trainee could be flying a PAT, priority air transport, Black Hawk helicopter. But I guess that that doesn't? I don't know. So that Black Hawk helicopter would always be a priority air transport. You would think with our budget constraints in the military that they'd be using that thing for everything. That they're probably bringing water to fires sometimes. Who knows what they're doing with it? Pulling off house reveals for extreme home makeover. Who knows? And then again, if you haven't checked it out already, make sure to go check out. The company is Grid Down, and again, it is connected with EMP Shield. We waited a very long time for this, over a year and a half, to make sure that we were able to wait for this one. What the thing is we have the generators that are put on pause right now, the energy. But everybody wanted a high capacity or a higher capacity generator. This is a 6,000 peak, 3,000 continuous generator with a 30 amp plug built right in. Again, this thing can go right into an RV and be your solution, or you can actually extend it with either 1 XP or 2. If you even extend it with 1 XP, the extra battery, it will be at over 4,000, almost 4,300 kilowatt hours. And it will be EMP protected, and it is going to even at that point apply for the 30% tax rebate. So again, that is probably the coolest thing, because you get a huge tax rebate in it if you can end up doing it. It's got a super fast charge time, wall to battery charge in about 2.3 hours, which is insane to even think about that. And then it is the lithium ion phosphate, which is the newer technology, lasts longer, more charges, degrades. As far as the battery degradation, is so much less than the regular lithium ion. And it is actually reasonable to carry. Again, go check it out, marfooglenews.com/bugout. And remember, these are all EMP Shield protected right off the bat. That price includes EMP Shield protection all in one package. All right, go to marfooglenews.com/bugout and make sure to use the code MARF. You can also do your whole house. You can do cabins. You can do mansions with their walls. If you haven't seen their walls, their walls are actually awesome as well. You've probably heard of the Tesla wall. They have their grid down readouts. So these things are absolutely awesome. Go check them out as well. You can do a whole solar system there. And then, again, thank you, everybody, for making it to these shows. I am sorry. I probably hit just right about the right time that I could do tonight. So thank you, Jeff B. Hey, he took off from back Westgate of CIA. Worked there for 8 years. He took off from back Westgate of CIA. Worked there for I'm blind. I can't see if that's 3 years. Jeff B, I can't. I'm sorry, I can't. Hal took off. I'm sorry, but I can't figure that one out. Dex, can you read that super chat? I cannot figure that one out. What is he referencing, the helicopter pilot?
Yeah, I think he's trying to say the helicopter took off from the back west gate of the CI and the letter A and he worked there for 3 years.
Oh. Is that... we'll have to go look and verify that. That's
that's one thing. People are saying that they said it left a specific air base, which maybe that base may be in that location, but then they're also saying it took off from a building owned by Saudi Arabia. So, there's all sorts of theories right now on this.
So crazy, and that makes sense too. If the connection there. And then Neil Nelson, hi Marf, viruses affect our mitochondria. To feel better, take this and this. I can't say that because it's giving some sort of advice. But thank you, Neil. I have such a crazy regimen right now, which includes that stuff that Joe Rogan liked and CNN hated, which I think have already felt better since yesterday. So... And then thank you, Ilea, Lucian Gray, Randy Holcomb. Make sure to go check out your mods over at marfugglenews.com/friends. Again, thank you so much, everybody, and make sure to go support them. I am really sorry, guys. I do not believe there will be a Shoutra tonight. I love you guys, and I will come back when I'm feeling better. And I have a small, short list of people that I owe some songs to. So thank you. And God bless you guys. And have a great night. Dex, thank you so much for your service today.
Much love. Great job, brother. Hope you're feeling better.
Yeah, and we do not need jams. So have a good one. I will see you guys tomorrow, Friday, the 31st. Is there a 31st? I think there is, right?
Yes, there is.
Yeah. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
I see you tomorrow. I see you tomorrow. I see you tomorrow. I see you tomorrow. I see you tomorrow. I see you tomorrow. Bomba, arriba bomba, arriba bomba, 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 arriba bomba, arriba bomba, bomba. I see you tomorrow. I see you tomorrow. I see you tomorrow. I see you tomorrow.